But yeah, anyways. there was a lot of, there was a few mistakes that I made for episode 4 of Incoming of Darkness, but I would say that they're less major, so I'm just gonna ignore them for now. So, moving on to episode 5 of season 1 of Incoming of Darkness. In episode 5, we kind of see the scene where Godzilla and Mikasa are kind of getting to know each other. And despite this series being one of my favorite ones to work on, but now that I look back at season 1 and seeing all the mistakes that I made, I am just disgusted at myself. That I didn't do anything to fix those mistakes. Like making the villains be more active, and the only one being active is King Ghidorah. If anything, like I said before in the previous part, the villains were just there in the background. They were just there. They were there to move the plot along. And there were 3 scenes where Mikasa and Godzilla would start to get more moments together. Instead, I just switched it to Godzilla and his friends just getting drunk. So, let me explain the scenes that were supposed to happen in episode 5. In episode 5, Godzilla would meet Eren Yeager. And of course, the love triangle was going to begin, where Mikasa was just kind of caught in the middle. Eren does not get along with Godzilla, and Godzilla is just like, I don't like this dude. I kind of want to punch him in the face. And here comes the first scene where Eren realizes that he's not full control in of the Founding Titan. Because we would get a scene where Eren goes back to his room, and he's kind of trying to get his future memories to show him who are these people, and do they have any sort of impact to his future whatsoever. And the big reveal would come for where Eren realizes that he's not controlling his powers anymore. And we kind of get a scene that's kind of similar to the Venom 2018 movie, where Venom reveals himself to Eddie. We would get that scene, but with King Ghidorah introducing himself to Eren. And Eren, at first, tries to fight back against King Ghidorah because he thinks he's going to be a threat to his very own future. But then when he realizes that King Ghidorah is the one who's calling the shots of his body. Now, this is where the more interesting part of the scene happens. So, Eren and King Ghidorah start talking to each other. And King Ghidorah reveals the whole history of how he became the real first Founding Titan. And that this whole time, like when Eren first activated his Titan powers, King Ghidorah was awoken. All the other times he was not really awoken, but now he has officially awoken, and ever since then he has been, in his own way, helping Eren to become stronger, more faster, more durable. Kind of like how Venom did to Eddie, where Venom makes Eddie faster, stronger, more durable. And this is where King Ghidorah's lies come in. King Ghidorah starts manipulating Eren, and in Season 4 of Attack on Titan, we were led to believe that Eren was being manipulated by Zeke, even though this turned out to be not true, considering that Eren is actually doing everything on his own free will. He's just following what the future showed him in his memories. Well, in his future memories. But in reality, in this series, King Ghidorah is the one who's showing Eren all these future memories. Yes, that's the big plot twist. King Ghidorah is the one who's giving Eren false futures. And the guy who's basically manipulating Eren to do his own bidding. King Ghidorah makes up like a very good lie by stating in the series that he would bring back Eren's mom under the condition that he helps Eren, that Eren helped him to get his body back. Because in Godzilla's backstory for the series, we are shown that Dagon, in his burning form, killed King Ghidorah. But King Ghidorah's body can regenerate itself in this series, although not in the way that you would normally think. Think of it kind of like this way. Think of it like when Venom, like when Eddie turns into Venom. Like they go into their form. It's kind of like the same thing here, except it's King Ghidorah except it's Eren turning into King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah can move the body and make it like his own body, but it's not really his body. He can't really feel pain because it's more like a mecha or something like that. That's what it's like to him. And only Eren can feel the pain. In fact, we were going to get a scene where where King Ghidorah does turn into King Ghidorah, and he just kind of like fights off some bad guys. Now, this is where the story gets a bit more interesting. Originally, there was going to be a scene where Godzilla's getting odd vibes from Eren, like he kind of senses that there's something familiar about Eren, but he just can't quite point his finger to it. And Mothra and GMK Ghidorah sense the same thing. There's something familiar about Eren, but they can't quite figure it out. And there was going to be this little subplot where Mothra and GMK Ghidorah were going to try to figure out what's going on with Eren. and they would eventually try to see what's going on. But of course, that never happened, and instead, I did the most stupidest thing, that being having the kaiju get drunk as hell. And I hated that. This episode was going to possibly be the most interesting episode, but I made it to become the stupidest thing I have ever did. Fun fact, episode 5 was the only episode that was going to have multiple parts. It was going to be part 1, part 2, and part 3. But that never happened. And so we move on to episode 6. So episode 6 opens up for where episode 5 left off, where literally the kaiju, well, mostly GMK Ghidorah, Rodan, Ingurius, Zilla Jr., and Godzilla are recovering from getting drunk as hell. And we see that Kiru and Mothra were the ones who brought them home. Off screen, apparently. Yeah, I think you can kind of see why episode 5 was originally going to have more than just one part. So basically, the episode just kind of just somewhat focuses on Kiru and Mothra talking to a recovering Godzilla, Zilla, Jr., Rodan, Ingurius, and GMK Ghidorah. Well, actually, Godzilla kind of wakes up in Mikasa's house, and I think I might leave that there, but instead of having Godzilla being, like, super drunk, like, instead, I would have, there was originally going to be a scene where Godzilla kind of gets into somewhat of a fight with a kaiju, possibly rather Megalon or Biollante, or any bad kaiju that I choose, and Godzilla makes it back to, like after the fight, Godzilla makes it back to the walls, and turns back to his human form. Mikasa finds him, sees how severe his injuries are, and takes him home with her to patch him up. And it was going to be a really funny scene where Godzilla is trying so hard to prevent his healing factor from working. Like, he's trying so hard to stop his healing factor. Think of it kind of like how you want to, like, wave your hand goodbye, but you stop your hand from, like, trying to reach to its level or where it's trying to go at, and it's, like, trying so hard to push back. Like, it's trying so hard to, like, raise its hand up. Like, raise itself up. That's like what Godzilla's doing with his healing factor. He's trying to do that. And I think that would have been a really funny moment where Godzilla's like, oh god, no, not now. Why are you at this right now? God damn it.